I think most of you have heard it already. So Derk is from Paladin Studios, and I know these guys, and they had up and downs, and I think he will share some info about it, what they were struggling through, and yeah, what they're doing now, and what are their conclusions from their experiences. So welcome, Derk.
Thank you. All right. So so how do I get the movie started? I think I need to do it like this. So I'll start with the trailer. No. Okay, so how does that work? I need to send it over to the screen. Okay. Like that. Okay. Time to roll. All right, so this is the game that we've been building. Oh. Cut it out. Okay. Yes. Excellent. Okay, so thanks for coming here. I'm going to talk about Momonga Pinball Adventures. You saw the trailer here. It's a pinball game with a twist, and we've been working on it for the past 2 years or so. First of all, I'm Derk, 30 years old, entrepreneur, designer, and student of life. I have to apologize for my voice. I've been partying a little bit too hard yesterday, so it's, yeah, I'll do my best. So first, let's start with a little bit of history. Paladin was founded in 2005. We are a team of 10 people, so we are kind of like a small but not too small indie development shop. We started off with a lot of contract work. So in the beginnings, we did these type of projects: visualizations, simulations, and we do that for clients. And this is our bread and butter. This is how we make our money. More recently, we've ventured into games, but even those games, we also do that as contract work. But there is, of course, a holy grail. We are paladins, we are knights of the round table, and we have a mission. And that mission is to make a living as an independent developer. And what that means to me is that we need to be financially sufficient. That means that we need to be able to pay our bills and from the games that we make or the products that we make. We also need to be independent. So that's, for us, that's self-direction. It's being in control of your destiny. And there are a couple of reasons for that. There's a creative and a business aspect to it. The creative aspect is that if you're independent, if you're self-directed, then you don't have to make any compromises. If you work for clients or publishers, then there's either a strict deadline or a strict budget, but you need to focus on what they want because they are funding it, basically. If you do that yourself, you don't have that. There's also an intrinsic motivation to make the games that you want to make. So this is a very powerful aspect, and I think it improves the quality of the games a lot. It's also about self-exploration. What are we capable of? What can we do as a team that we might have never imagined that we would be able to do? And it's also about creative freedom, and I think that speaks for itself. But apart from the creative aspects, there's also a business aspect to it. And perhaps the most important part is the agility that you have. As an independent developer, you get to make the choices, and that means that if you want to go freemium, like Stolen Couch, you can do that. If you want to do something crazy off the beaten path, then you can do it. And this agility is very important. Even halfway through a project, if you sign a deal with a publisher, and you change your mind halfway, then it's very difficult to sell that to the publisher. If you need to sell it to yourself, then you can definitely, you have a little bit more flexibility there. It's also a matter of scale. If you have work for hire projects like we do, then the scalability of that business model is, there is a little bit, you know, you can grow, but then you need to hire more people. So even if you get a big project, you're still in trouble because you need to actually make that work and you need to deliver on your promises. And with a game or any product, if you launch it, it could sell millions. So the potential for a hit is huge. And this also means that that you have more risk and you need to make an investment, but still it's a very important aspect of this business model. And then there's assets and reputation. So we build our own IP. That means that we create worlds and characters, and potentially that IP is very valuable to our players and to the company in the long term. Also, as we are self-publishing, we have the opportunity to connect directly with the consumers. And that builds your reputation, and it's a very important aspect if you are in it for long term. So this is why we want to do this. So we said, okay, let's make a game. Yeah, let's make a game. And so we did it. We built a lot of prototypes. And it went something like this. We started with an idea. I had an idea, or someone in the team had an idea. And then we jumped at it. We said, okay, let's build this. And then we spent a couple of weeks or sometimes a couple of months building that game. And then somehow it kind of stalled. And then we ended up with this. And yeah, it doesn't really get much worse than that because we have some prototypes lying around catching dust. There's one game that made it to the finish line, that's Jimmy Pataya, available on Android and iOS, so get it now for free, excellent. And this is basically a game that we built in 2 weeks, and we said, okay, we need to finish this game, we need to do it as an experiment, and that worked pretty well. But still, the other games that came after that, the prototypes, we got sidetracked with another project, or we didn't have the enthusiasm that we had at the beginning, or we found out that there were some technical issues that we found very difficult to surmount. The project scope was too big for us to handle. All those things, they kind of bite you when you're halfway through the prototype, and then you just abandon the project, and we wanted to avoid that. So we said, okay, let's make a game and do it right. Yeah, how do you approach that? Well, turns out that a big part of that is in the selection process, and that's basically you need to find an answer to the question, what is your next game going to be? And I'm sure many of you guys are game developers or indies, and this is one of the biggest questions that you have. We struggled with that. We used to have a lot of arguments or ideas, and it was always kind of personal and kind of random because it was someone's idea, and it was kind of head-to-head which idea would get chosen. And it felt wrong, and it was wrong. So we devised a selection process. Basically, we said, okay, let's start with 100 ideas, then go to 10 designs, 3 prototypes, and 1 game. And this kind of formalized our decision-making process, and it really helped us getting the best idea to completion. Each phase in that selection process was kind of accompanied by a specific selection criteria. So the 100 ideas stage, we would vote. So it's democratic vote. This made sure that we had everybody on the team on board. So we would only consider games that we thought they were worth making. They were Paladin games. They were something that the team would like. The next phase was desk research. So we basically said, okay, we have these 10 games, and now we need to find a way to look at, for example, is there a market for it? Are there many competitors? What are the monetization options? Is the IP strong enough? Things like that. So I have a big Excel sheet with a lot of criteria, and we choose based on those criteria. Then when we have a top 10 of games, we build 3 prototypes. We actually build them. We spend about a week on them per prototype, and then we invite testers over to test it. And basically, the final stage is that they get to pick which game they like the most. So it's a little bit like American Idol, you know. Except when in traditional way you will be in that seat, you will be Jennifer Lopez saying, "Oh, excellent." In this case, the users are actually saying, "Oh, well, I like this," and it's a much more powerful way to do it. So the prototype that won this contest was Pinball Forever. It was a quirky pinball game with, you know, an endless mode in it. So it was a little bit like Doodle Jump meets pinball. And people loved it. You saw the twinkle in their eyes, and you saw the smile on their face, and they played it for 45 minutes. And if you look at this, and someone plays that for 45 minutes, then you know that something is pretty awesome about that. So we said, okay, let's do it. Let's do this. And so, of course, you need to find a way to make that a reality, to turn that prototype into the actual product. And being a work-for-hire studio, we have a horrible schedule. This is what the Momonga schedule looked like. On the top left, you can see January 2010. That's 2 years ago. That's when the prototype was made. Then there's months and months of silence. We did nothing. Then we started working on the actual gameplay for Momonga. We switched to levels and stuff like that. And then you can see at the end of 2011, we started production. The original launch target was June 2012. We didn't make that one because we were not satisfied with the quality of the game and the length of the game. So we had to push it a little bit beyond that. But you can see also that even though we had a big, you could call it spike of development in that area, there were some client projects right after that. So instead of just having a month or 2 months of a delay, we had 6 months of a delay because, of course, we need to pay the bills. So this was pretty tough, and it was quite a roller coaster ride. But in December, we submitted it, and on New Year's Eve 2012, Apple approved the game. So that was quite a party. That was good. So for the launch, we had kind of a mixed marketing campaign. We have a developer blog, and we have had 72,000 visitors in the past 2 years. So that's a pretty good user base. And of course, we post on the blog, and people were kind of prepared for Momonga. They knew about it. Press release went out to hundreds of blogs. We made a game page, a landing page on PaladinStudios.com. All that stuff that is, you know, mandatory, I would say. Press release, good press kit, and everything. One thing to note is that Apple got in touch with us, so we had some contacts at Apple, which was very helpful in actually getting the feature. So that's I highly recommend that, actually. And then, of course, we did a blog post, and we used our social media to spread the word. So the results. I'll start with the kind of the reviews and the features and everything, so that you know what critical feedback we got. So the app has been featured new and noteworthy in 150 countries, and in a lot of places on iTunes. I didn't know they have that many spots on iTunes where you can get featured, but it's a lot. And the main thing, I guess, is the main banner. In the games category, we were featured as a main banner in the United States. So that really helped a lot. So that will also reflect in the sales. The second week, we actually got a editor's choice in Spain and Mexico and some other countries. So that meant that we had a main banner in the second week as well in those countries. And that gives a very interesting view into what that does with sales. So I'll skip through this a little bit fast because we don't have much time. But The Metacritic score is 83, so that's not bad at all. Yeah, it's not perfect either. If you look at the other games that came out in January, we're kind of right there in the middle. Although if you look at number 3 and 4, they have less reviews, and it's probably a little bit more niche market. So we've done pretty well. You know, it's a decent game. People like it. The Touch Arcade gives us 90 out of 100, so that's really good. So it's been well received. User reviews have been pretty good as well. 5-star reviews were dominant, so that's very good to see that. And I'll skip through this a little bit fast because of time, but there are some raving fans of Momonga. Some people really love the game, and that's really good to see that. True masterpiece. 10 out of 10 isn't enough. Well, you get the point. Then there are some more critical reviews. They said, okay, the game crashes every now and then. Okay, that's something we need to take care of. This guy also on the top right, he didn't want to be continued. What? You can't do that. Too hard. Okay, that's interesting. Then 3-star reviews said, okay, there were some blips. They got stuck. It needs work. It's too short. It's great pinball, but it's not. It's great style, but mediocre pinball. These are the hardcore pinball players who really don't like the game. 2 stars that's the hardcore pinball players mostly. They just want pinball cabinets, they don't want squirrels and stuff. And of course there are some 1-star reviews, mostly crashes, and my favorite of all time, the gayest app ever. Haters gonna hate, So we have some lessons learned. We have fans. That's very important for us. People love the game, and it kind of reminds them of Nintendo 64 games. Zelda is a reference. Mario Pinball Land is a reference. Hardcore pinball players don't like it. That's cool. That's exactly what we expected. The game crashes on older devices, and people don't read descriptions because we said in our description that we don't support those older devices. But yeah. What can you do? So, some charts and sales stats. You can see that here we actually had a top 100 ranking in the United States iPhone for a while. You can see this little thing right there. That's the change in price. We went from $1 to $2. You can see that the rankings are dropping dramatically after that. So it's still kind of a question whether that is a wise decision to actually raise the price. Well, vote's still out on that, but we'll see. The iPad market is actually a top 50. So we reached the top 50 in iPad in the United States, which is very good. By the way, half of our sales come from the United States, so it's by far the most important market. And if we zoom in a little bit, well, that's not too. Oh yeah, this is very interesting because this is Spain. So you can see here that the first week was $1, and then after the first week we switched to $2. And you can actually see that even though we switched to $2, the main banner kicked in Spain, and we shot up in the charts to almost the top 100 spot, and that's even with $2. So it's kind of an interesting thing, Did we drop in sales because of the price or because of the feature? So in terms of units, we have 36,000 units, but you can definitely see the drop-off point. It's kind of scary to see that. Revenue is $30,000, so that's in 3 weeks. Quite similar to what you see with other iOS games, so it's not uncommon that you would see this kind of revenue with a kind of a modest hit game on iOS. Yeah, nothing much to say about that. Oh yeah, except that you can see here that even though the price changed, you can see that the revenue kind of smoothly compensates for that because it's a higher price. So if you compare this cliff to this slope, then it's not that bad. So our projections are, I don't know, we did 30K after 3 weeks. 200 per day long tail seems a little bit optimistic right now because of the recent sales. We definitely aim for 75K lifetime revenue, but it's very difficult to get that with iOS only. The cost of the game are about 200,000 euros, so we need to find other ways to do that. I'm out of time, so I'll skip through this a little bit quick. We plan to do a light version, an Android port. Yay for Android. It's coming soon, I promise. And other ports like PC and Mac. Ouya, we're looking at consoles like PlayStation Network, the Wii U, eShop is very interesting. But episode 2 is uncertain. So the actual episode 2 will definitely depend on the success that we have with those things. But what we could consider is a different genre, like a platformer or whatever, in the same universe with the same characters. So that would help a lot. So the takeaways for you guys, I would definitely recommend you define a selection process because it helps a lot. It gets the team on board and you make good business decisions in that. The best business is the decision that you can make with the information you have available. Try to survive and spread the risks. And that's it. So thank you very much. No time for questions?
No time for questions, I'm afraid. So I think
I'm here at the Indie Showcase, so if you have any questions, just